This thing, this what do you call it? The recording transcripts. They don't number them individually. But 1 up to 1,000. They just number what the days or what?
The days.
The days only. So how do you calculate the complete?
What actually the last day, if you say quadragents on the last page.
Yeah.
So it means
But how do you know how many pages of transcripts? Because the other day somebody was saying it's 10,000. I think it's
you
not
have
enough.
to calculate them.
Huh?
You calculate as per days. I have 10 on the 7th of October, and then just like that.
Is that so? But there must be a method of saying this case is at 20, started on the 24th of July, 20.
So I can inquire with the stenographer's office.
Yeah, just inquire from him.
It says from here he can't, so I'll have to make a formal inquiry at his office.
You can't.
This is from that machine. He can't.
Oh, from the machine. Okay, fine. Okay, yeah. No, fine. There's nothing I can do.
I'll inquire with the office.
Yeah. Yes, Mr.
All the keys are now here, my Lord. We are ready to commence. The right of cross-examination by Advocate Nisi was reserved until today.
Okay, yes, Mr. Nisi.
Please the court, my lord. Brigadier Kininda, good morning.
Sorry, I didn't hear. My apologies, my lord. I couldn't hear. What's good?
No, I'm saying just good morning.
Oh, good morning, Advocate Nisi.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, there's something that has been bugging me here.
So, the manager still under oath.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, my lord. Yes, noted, my lord.
You know, there's something that has been bugging me here, and it still continues to bug me. That has been happening for some time. I'm trying to decipher what is the imperative that when a suspect gets arrested by a police, items that are found in his possession are supposed to be seized, and if it's supposed to be put in the cell, those are supposed to be registered in the relevant books at the police station.
So there are more than one reasons, my lord. Firstly, if the items are not going to be used as exhibits on the case or utilized as evidence or to obtain further evidence, those items will be seized and then put on what you call SAP 22, which is a prisoner's property register. In other words, it's a property belonging to the prisoner. They've got nothing to do with the case in question or forming part of the exhibit. Now, in that part, as and when the arrested person is released from prison, or he gives a permission to the next of kin or whoever that he mandates to take that item, such item will then be released to that person at the arrested person's directive. So that's the first part.
Umbuzo lana uthi ke advocate umnisi uthi kunento ke lana engihluphayo ukuthi kungani uma uboshwa umuntu lokho okuthole kuyena ke bese kuyathathwa noma kuzobhalwa ke kule incwadi zamaphoyisa kugcine ke la egcinwa khona. Okokuqala ke noma ke esokuqala isizathu engasisho ukuthi ke kuyathathwa lokho uma kuwukuthi mhlambe lokho okutholiwe umuntu oboshiwe kuzosetshenziswa njengobufakazi. Uma kuwukuthi akuzosetshenziswa njengobufakazi, kubhalwa ke ku-register ebizwa ngokuthi SAP 22 ukuthi ke yiloko kwalowo oboshiwe noma ke phecelezi i-Prisoners Property Register, ukuthi uma ngabe esededelwa ke noma uma yena ke ethi kunomuntu othize womndeni engithi nimnikeze lokho esokuqala lesizathu.
Now the second one, my lord, relates to when the exhibit or the seized item, the police are of the view that they'll utilize it as evidence or they want to conduct further investigation on it, in trying to obtain evidence. Now such item will then be seized still from the arrested person, entered in what you call ACP 13, which is a property register. That is the book that records all seized exhibits with the reference of the case number and obviously the person who sees it and the reasons thereof. Now, once it's taken there, it is now forming part of, obviously, the investigation. It depends on the item, whether it will be something that will need to be sent to the forensic if it's drugs for confirmation. Firearms, in that instance, will have to be forwarded to ballistic. Cell phones will have to be downloaded. So it depends. It depends what is in there. But those items then are seized, and they will remain there until the police have exhausted or finalized the investigation, my lord. That is the second part.
Bese kuthi okwesibili ke manje uma kuwukuthi lokho okutholiwe kulo muntu oboshiwe noma ke amaphoyisa akuthathileke amaphoyisa ke asafuna ukuqhubeka nophenyo noma acabanga ukuthi ke khona ke ubufakazi obukhona labo abangakuthola, bese kubhalwa ke lokho kubizwa ngokuthi i-SAP 13 phecelezi ke i-property register noma la ekubhalwa khona ke izinto ezitholakele, kubhalwa i-case number, igama laloyo ekuyena ozithathile kanye futhi nesizathu. Sikhuluma ke ngobufakazi obahlukene, ibhamu, ama-cell phones, nje lokho okuthathiwe ke lesesibili leso izathu.
Now this item on the second part, my lord, will then be disposed accordingly after. If, for example, the matter goes to court, after the such exhibit has been utilized, this exhibit, the matter has been finalized, an order can be given by the court and then it will be disposed accordingly, depending on the order that is there. And it also depends on the items, if such item can be kept at the ACP 13. Some perishable items are simply recorded and then stored accordingly. For example, a cache of money, you can't keep it in the SAP13, so it will obviously be handed back to the relevant authorities, but the chain of evidence will be maintained, my lord.
Kuya ngokuthi noma ke icala bese liyaqhubeka ke uma kuwukuthi manje ke inkantolo egcineni ke iyanquma ke noma ikhipha isinqumo ukuthi ke akwenziweni ngalobo bufakazi. Kuya ngokuthi ke yini ke lobo bufakazi lobo khulumile ngazo ke ibhamu noma ke kuyimali ke imali ke angeze igcinwe ke yona ke kuyona iSAP13 khona ke la ezondluliselwa khona, kodwa kuya ngokuthi isiphi isinqumo ezosikhipha uma ngaba icala seliqediwe egcineni.
Yes, those are the reasons, my lord.
Izona ke lezo izathu.
Thank you. Just, my lord, with the leave of court, may I approach that other microphone? I'm a little bit far. I can't hear properly. At least the echo today is not as cold as it was on Monday. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, Brigati. Would security be one of the considerations?
Yes. For example, if you seize a firearm from an arrested person, you can't, moving that person from the point of arrest to the police station, you can't let that person carry the firearm. I mean, there's danger. Cell phones as well, you might tend to think that if the cell phone is left with the arrested person to the detention, all manner of things. Yes, security does form part of the reasons, my lord.
Thank you.
Ingabe ke uphepha ingaba esinye yini sezathu? Yebo, kunjalo. Asithi ke kutholakale isibhamu noma kutholwe isibhamu kuleyo muntu loyo, uma ke umthatha kuleyo ndawo aboshelwe kuyena eseyovalelwa ke awukwazi ukuthi ke isibhamu ke singahlala naye noma singaba kuyena ke so yebo ngasho ukuthi ke uphepha kanye futhi ke uma kuthi kutholakale umakhala ekhukhwini awukwazi ukuthi ahambe nawo bese kufica la azovalelwa khona.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now, according to information that is on record, Sergeant Mohane and the late Sergeant Mapena having received information with regard to the complicity of Mr. Ntanzi in this case, approached him in June on 2020 at Phuket. On the 16th of June 2020 at Phuket. Do you still remember that?
I'm aware, yes, that he was arrested by the two members on the 16th of June 2020, my lord. That is correct.
Kuyiqiniso ngiyazike ukuthi nge-16 June 2020 uNtanzi ke waboshwa ke ilaba ababili obashoyo ke uSergeant Mohane kanye nongasekho uMabena.
Thank you. And then the information that is on record goes on to say that they had an interaction with him, upon which they then called you and you then went to meet them at, that's now on the 18th. You then went to meet them at Sibanye Gold Mine, somewhere in Western area.
That is correct, my lord.
Kuyiqiniso ke ukuthi ke sebehlangene ke naye ke noma ke bekhulumile naye ke uNtanzi uMohane nongasekho ke uMabena base nge-18 ke noma ke bexhumana nami nge-18 June 2020 ngayohlangana nabo eSibanye.
And it is your testimony that prior to, if I recall well, we have had massive evidence in this case. Sometimes we're bound to make mistakes here and there. Now, if I followed your evidence well, is that you then met him, Mr. Ntanzi, for the first time at Phuket?
At Carltonville, my lord. I met him for the first time. That part is correct, but it was in Carltonville, not in Phuket.
Carltonville.
In Carltonville.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to intercept you. I actually wanted to say at the Sibanye Gold Mine in Carletonville, not Phuket.
Absolutely, that's correct, my lord.
Yebo ngenza iphutha ke yebo la mangihlangana nayo kokuqala ke kwakuse Carletonville ayi ePhukeng.
Now, according to Sergeant Mokgane, you, when they started to talk to him, yourself and Sergeant Mukhula, you were not there. It was only him and Mabena.
Well, if Sergeant Mukhane said that, then I wasn't there. I can only relate to my presence when I arrived and met accused 2, my lord. What happens prior, I think Sergeant Mukhane and Mabena will be in a better position to deal with that.
Ngokukamukhane ke wena ke noMukhula naningekho ke lapha. Uma kuukuthi ke iloko ekusho yena ke Mukhane kanjalo ke ngoba ke okwenzeka ngaphambi kokuthi ngifike angeke ngikwazi.
That is correct. And according to Mukhane, upon your arrival, they introduced you to accused number 2, and they then gave you a space that you should talk to accused number 2, if my memory serves me well.
I'm not sure how Mukhane put it, my lord, but yes, I was introduced to accused 2. I introduced myself, and then we carried on with the interview.
Thank you.
Ngokamukhane ke babethula ke bamethula nawe kuwena ke base bekulika ke manje isikhala ke noma ke isikhathi ke sokuthi ke ukhulume naye, angazi ukuthi uSergeant Mukhane wakusho kanjani, kodwa yebo ngazithula ke na ke naye bethulwa kumina ke sase siyakhulumisana ke suka lapho.
Thank you. Now, was there any particular briefing that Mukhane gave you with regard to the conversation that they had with accused number 2 upon your arrival at Carletonville, where you met them?
No, there wasn't, my lord. So the first briefing I got from Mukhane, if I put it in sequence, was on the 16th in Sergeant Mabena. They could have briefed me collective or individually. That indicated that they have arrested accused 2 in relation to Wanongoma matter. So that was the first briefing. I was then informed on the 18th that they are going to Carletonville. That's the briefing that I got. It was telephonically. And in that, they will also try and follow the alibi of the cases that they were investigating in Carletonville. That's when, my lord, I asked, because it was brought to my attention that he seems to be saying he's at work, something to that effect. And that's when I said, look, let me meet you in Carletonville, because this aspect relating to this matter is something that I want to handle myself. Then they can carry on with their matters. So that is a brief I got, but not when I arrived. It was prior to my arrival telephonically.
Ingaba khona yini abakutshela kodwa ke manje nge-18 uma ufika ke lapho ukuthi ke ngokukhulumisana noma ukuxoxisana kwabo kwenzekani? Cha, uma beqala ke ungitshela ke kwakungazo i-16 uma bengazisa ke ukuthi ke bambopha ke umsolo wesibili, bembophela lona ke icala lakwaNongoma, bese kuthi ngazo i-18 bakhuluma nami ke ngocingo bengazisa noma bengitshela ukuthi ke baya eCarletonville, kukhona ke abayokuphenya ke mayelana ke nalelo cala lelo lakwaNongoma. Uma sebengitshela ke mayelana naleli icala ukuthi ke ubatshele ukuthi wayesemsebenzini, ngathi loloko udaba ke ngifuna ukuthi mina ke ngizele noma ke kube yimina obhekelana nalolo daba, ngathi ke asihlangane eCarletonville.
So part of the information that I briefed you about also had to do with the current case that we're busy with.
Yes, I think my recollection, my lord, it was to an extent that he said to them, I don't know at what stage, that he was at work and they briefed me on that one, and I said, I want to be present. But mainly it was the matters that they were seized with. But this particular one, as I was the lead IO, my lord, they had to brief me in terms of, and take guidance from me in terms of what must be done.
Kokunye ke abakutshela kona ke bakutshela ke mayelana nalo leli icala eliphambi kwalo manje, yebo bangitshela ukuthi ke wabatshela ukuthi wayesemsebenzini, angazi ke ukuthi kwakuyisiphi isikhathi mabatshela lokho, ngathi ke kulolo udaba ohlangana naleli icala ngoba kuyimina ke ohola ithimba eliphenyayo, ngifuna ke ukuthi ke kube yimina obhekana nalo, bona ke bangaqhubeka ke ngamanye la amacala babeyele wo.
Thank you. Now you meet accused number 2 at Carltonville. You then had a discussion, a consultation with him in respect of this case, which was the reason why you had to drive to Carltonville also.
Yes, my lord. But it wasn't a detailed discussion. It was obviously, without repeating what I've said, my lord, that after the warning of the constitutional rights, it was to say, I have a reason to believe, and this is how it unfolded, that he was involved in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And the response, so this is how it unfolded, and I'm saying that because that's how the discussion took place, was to say, no, it's not correct. I was at work, and he specified the date, the 26th. That's what I took note of, that the date was then set by him. And that then led us to say, okay, since we say we're at work and we are not far from Sibanya mine, let's then follow that alibi. So that's how it unfolded.
Nase nikhulumisa noma ke ni noxoxa ke mayelana nodaba noma icala leli phambi kwenkantolo manje uma kwenzeka ke lokho kwakuwukuthi ke engitshela ukuthi ngelanga lelo ke langa i20 yimini uma wamtshela ngiyaxolisa ke yimini wamtshela ukuthi ke nginezathu sokukholelwa ukuthi ke wena ke uyambandakanyeka ke kwicala lelo kulawo kwakhe isenzo wasephendula ke ethi cha mina ke ngangisemsebenzini futhi washo idate ke ngabe sengisithi ke ngoba ke singekudeke kunendawo yakho yokusebenza asiye khona ke siyokulandela sholandelela khona lokho.
Yes.
Oh, the explanation is okay now, thanks. Then from there you went on to follow his alibi. You went to the place where he was working, you got the information that you were looking for in relation to his alibi.
Yes, which said it was false from Mr. Mulder specifically in his presence.
Yebo ke saya ke khona lapha isebenza khona ke washo ke Mr. Mulder ekhona ke umsolo ukuthi cha kwaMaslona iqiniso lokho angitshela kona.
Now that is, according to you, the first time that you had an interaction with accused number 2, wherein you had to talk to him about this case, not so?
Yes, that's correct. So sorry to interject, sorry, I thought you were done. Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Yebo kuyiqiniso ke kwakuyihlandla lokuqala ke lelo ke ngikhuluma naye ngihlangana naye ke umsolo ngikhuluma naye mayelana naleli qala leli.
Now, subsequent to you receiving the information that you got from his employees, did you have another discussion with him whilst at Carltonville in relation to this case?
Yes, correct, my lord. I obviously, the other part that I confronted him with was in relation to the identikit, where I put to him that I'm also of the view that the identikit, the suspect with the hoodie, according to my view, resembles him, which was then denied, my lord. That is the second discussion I had with him. He said, no, it's a question of mistaken identity. So it was denied by him to say the person is actually him on the identikit.
Uphindileke futhi unise lapho ke eCarltonville wakhuluma naye yini mayelana nalo icala leli eliphambi kwenkantolo. Yebo kungenkathi ke manje sengikhuluma naye ke ngimtshela ke ukuthi ke noma ngimtshela nge-identikit noma ke umdwebo loyana ngithi ke mina ke umuntu loyana odwetshwe laphayana ogqoke ihudi ufana naye ke ila esesho khona ke yena ukuthi cha iphutha ke lelo elenziwe akusiyena lo.
Thank you. Now, you also told this court that in the content of your conversation, there was a point where accused number 2 then gave you the date of the 26th of October 2014. That is where your interest then started to develop about his possible involvement in this case. Is that not so?
No, the interest was already developed, my lord. Court will remember that when his name came up on the statement disposed by Mr. Absalom Zungu, the interest started there.
Okay.
So when he said that, it's something that I took note, not that there was already a cold case analysis done on him and accused 1. Hence the other cases were already identified, and the focus of investigation or the interest to get to him was already there. So this is something that I noted to say, but how could he know the exact date, so that's something that just stick on my mind to say, I didn't give him the date, but he just gives me the date to say on this specific day I was at work, I could not have committed that offense.
Ushilo-ke ukuthi nikhulumisana noma nisaxoxa-ke yena-ke wase ekunikeza-ke i-date leya-ke i-26 zika October 2014 ila usuqale khona-ke manje-ke ukuthi-ke unakeke noma-ke ubhekeke. Cha, lokho akuqalanga lapho. Uzokhumbula ukuthi igama lakhe laselivelile-ke kwistatement esenziwa uyena-ke umnumzana u-Absalom Zungu. So manje uma yena-ke esengitshela ngedate umsolo wesibili engitshela ngedate yange-26 October 2014 ngingashongo mina-ke na-ke i-date yila-ke manje engithe loko ngabukisisa khona-ke.
Thank you. I don't know what your comment to this will be, because this is what Mokgane told this court, that they, in the process of them investigating this other case against him, the case relating to Phokeng, or the Wanongoma case, they also, in one way or the other, they also introduced the subject of this case, and this is how they introduced it. Thank you. Mokgane told this court that what is it that accused number 2 knows about the death of Senzo Meyiwa? And accused number 2 responded by saying that he heard that on the news because it was all over the media. Let me pause there. Do you have any comment?
My Lord, that was, I don't want to venture to the discussion between Sergeant Mokgane and the accused, particularly if he led that evidence in court. I was not here.
Yes, thank you.
So I would like to help, but I wasn't in court, my Lord.
Mokgane-ke awakutshela le nkantolo-ke ukuthi naye-ke umsolo wesibili base bembuza-ke ukuthi-ke yini ayaziyo mayelana necala-ke lokushona kwakhe uSenzo Meyiwa. Uma ibaphendula-ke umsolo wathi-ke yena-ke ubonile-ke kumabonakude ngoba-ke ligcwele-ke noma likhona-ke liyavezwa-ke ey'ndabeni. Yini ongayisho wena kuloko bengekho noma ngangekho-ke ngenkathi uSergeant Mokgane ethula ubufakazi kule nkantolo, manje-ke angeke-ke ngifune ukuthi ngingene lapho.
Yes, can I just get clarity as to on which date Sergeant Mokgane testified about this, the occasion, and as to exactly when did this discussion take place? Because Sergeant Mokgane said several interactions with accused number 2.
I'm reading from my notes, my lord. Unless my colleague is suggesting that I should have gone into the record and go back and read and do as he's suggesting. If he feels that what I'm putting to this witness is not what Mokgane said, then he should raise that. But I cannot be expected to come and say on such and such a date, this is what Mokgane said, and this is found in this portion, and this is what. I was taking notes. I can only refer him to my notes, and unfortunately, I do not have the date. I did not write a date on which this testimony Mokgane was preferring. So, but the gist of what I'm saying is, if he feels that what I'm putting to this witness is not what Mokgane says, then he needs to mention that. Then we go and revisit that. But to expect me to do as he does, it's going to be very cumbersome, my lord, because I'm going to request a postponement so that I go and read Mokgane's testimony in its entirety, and I think it goes up to 2 weeks. Does it please the court?
It's fine, we can proceed, my lord. We will correct the record at the later stage.
Thank you.
Should the need arise.
Thank you. Now, you would then agree with me that when accused number 2 gave them that response, that he had it on the news, it was all over the media, he was telling the truth, because this incident of the killing of Mr. Meyiwa took place in 2014, 26 October, and he gets confronted with this allegation on 2020, which is almost 6 years. So it was all over the media, not so.
Correct, my lord, but that's precisely the reason that it was 6 years later. You know, for me, it's quite interesting that you will remember that specific day. It's a different, and this is now me, my lord, it's a different story of saying, I've heard on the news that this person was killed. And that's not what he told me, my lord, and I'm referring to me. That's not what he told me. But to say 6 years later, this incident happened on that specific day.
We're still talking about what he told Mohane, not you.
Yes, but my lord,
Yes.
but my lord, I think I dealt with that part. That insofar as what Mohane and accused to discussed, it will be difficult for me to get in there because I was not there, number one.
Yes.
Number two, I said even when Sergeant Mohane testified, I was not in court.
Thank you.
I can only refer to the discussion that accused to had with me, and that's what I was trying to explain. Why I found it peculiar and interesting.
Thank you.
Kodwa ke uzovuma ke ukuthi uma wabaphendula ngaleyo ndlela ke ukuthi wayekhuluma iqiniso ngoba ke impela ke ukuthi ke kwakuyicala leli elali khona ke kuma TV noma ke elalisakazwa ke yebo ke lokho ngakuvuma ke kodwa ke ukuthi ke emuva kweminyaka eyisithupha akhumbuleke ilanga noma akhumbuleke idate ke iyona nje into eyagqama ke leyo ukuthi yebo noma ke lalivela ke kumabona ku TV kodwa ukuthi emuva kweminyaka eyisithupha umuntu akhumbule ilanga iloko nje okwagqama.
Now, having asked him that question, they went on to ask him, where was he on the 26th of October 2014? To which he replied, I was at a mine at Westonaria. That's what Mohane says.
My lord, I was not there.
Thank you.
I don't know what really to say much about that assertion.
Bese bembuzileke lokho base umbuzo olandelayo ke bambuza ukuthi wayekuphi ke yena ngalelo langa lelo waphendula ke wathi wayesemayini eWestern area ngangingekho ke akukho ke engaphendula kulokho.
Now, subsequent to that, then Mohane went on to say on the 18th of June 2020, which is the day on which you also met them, they followed his alibi at Western area, specifically at Sibanye Stillwater.
I can agree about the 18th.
Yes.
That's why I met them a lot.
Waqhubeka kuMohane wathi ke ngeyazo i-18 June 2020 ila manje abaya khona ke kwindawo lapho ke emayini eWestern area beyoqinisekisa ke lokho ayikusho lokho ke kwange-18 ngakuvuma ke kona ngoba ngangikho noma ilanga lelo engahlangana nabo.
Now, the point being, because in your evidence in chief, you said, amongst others, you found it very strange. Why would he specifically remember his whereabouts on the 26th of October 2014 when you have not put it to him? Now, would that not have been because of the fact that he had already been confronted with the same information before you confronted him? In other words, when you confronted him, your colleagues had already confronted him with the same allegations.
So, my lord, I'll answer it in this various forms. If he was confronted as is being put to me, yes, logic will make sense that it's still fresh in his memory. He might remember if it happened like that. But I was not briefed as such by Sergeant Mohane as it's been put to me that we've confronted him, we gave him the date, and this is what he said. That's not the brief I got. I don't remember specific dates being given to me, my lord. That's the first part.
Manje ke uma kukanjalo ke uma esethi kuwena ke noma ke eyiphumela ngedate kuwena ke ingabe lokho bangaphumi noma ngaqhamuki yini ekuthini oza kwethu babe sebekhulumile ke naye base bemnikeza ke imininingwane efana nayo ke idate uma mina ke ngihlangana nabo ke ngazo i-18 zika June 2020 uma uSergeant Mohane ke ekhuluma nami noma engixoxela ke akangitshelanga ngaleyo ndlela ke le manje engiyitshelwayo la enkantolo ukuthi ke bese sikhulumile naye sayisho idate kuyena.
And when I spoke to him, my lord, this is accused too, he didn't say to me, I already got this information or the dates or the details to Sergeant Mohane or I already gave to them. That was not put to me, my lord. by the accused himself, accused 2.
Okwesibili-ke uma mina ngikhuluma naye-ke umsolo wesibili akashongo kumina-ke ukuthi-ke bese ngikhulumile naye-ke uSergeant Mokhane kanye nozakwabo-ke noma-ke bebeseyishilo-ke i-date kumina-ke ngale ndlela-ke ekushiwo ngayo kumina ngikhuluma ngaye umsolo wesibili.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigadier. We are not privy, accused could not have been privy to what Mokhane told you about. All that I'm referring to here is what Mokhane told this court. Thank you.
My Lord, yes, I hear what the Advocate Mnisim is saying. The essence of my response is that if accused 2, for example, had said to me, I was informed by Sergeant Mokhane about this date, I'll leave it at that. There's nothing much to say someone remembers the date. Or if he said to me, I just watched the news a few days ago where this date was articulated, and that's how I remember that it happened on this day, and on this day I know I was at work, it would have been a reasonable and logical explanation. One will not put something or try to make something out of that explanation because it will be reasonable, my Lord. That's not the impression I got when I spoke to him, my Lord.
Uma kuwukuthi-ke noma-ke akazange asho kumina-ke ukuthi-ke uSergeant Mokhane-ke ebese ngibuzile ngalolu daba wase ne-date eyisho-ke noma athi kumina-ke kumalanga nje ambalwa-ke andlule bengibuke i-TV ngalibona-ke lolu daba kukhulunywa ngalo kwi-TV futhi-ke ne-date bayisho. Lokho-ke bekuzoba into ezwakalayo-ke bengeke-ke ufuna ukwenza into ngaleyo nto leyo kodwa mina-ke uma ngikhuluma naye-ke angizange ngiyithole ngaleyo ndlela noma-ke izwakale ngaleyo ndlela.
Thank you, Brigadier. I don't want to argue this point or to make a mirror of it, but if you are throwing it back to accused number 2, that he did not tell you that he had already explained what you are asking him to Mokhane, the same question could as well be asked from you, whether did you ask him he had already told Mokhane what he was telling you?
Absolutely.
And which you didn't, not so?
No, absolutely. I think that will be fair if you throw it to me. Yeah.
So
But
this point does not take us anywhere.
yeah, no, it does.
Actually, it does not take you per se anyway, not us.
All right, no.
Thank you.
No, I differ. It does, my Lord, take us somewhere. It does take me somewhere because counsel is looking at an isolated discussion. He is not collaborating it with the events that took place afterwards. And that's how you must. This is what I was saying, my Lord, when I say collaboration. So you take the fact that a date was given, ungiven by me, what was by accused 2. You then subsequently follow the events that followed, that led to the confession of Colonel Rapadio, the magistrates. If you take that, it does indeed create an impression as to why this person knew about this date. You can't take it in isolation, my Lord, because it did not end on the date. After the date, the identikit, subsequently there were confessions that were made, written down by Lieutenant Colonel Rapadio, subsequently the magistrate, and in those confessions, accused to implicate himself. Now, if you take that, logic dictates that this is why he knew the date of the 26th of October 2014.
Lana-ke manje-ke ummeli akwenzayo ukuthi-ke uthatha udaba lo date-ke aluhlukanise noma-ke alibeke nje lodwa-ke kodwa-ke uma-ke uthatha i-date leyo angitshela yona-ke mina ngingayishilo kuyena ubusehlanganisa nalokho okwenzeka-ke kamuva i-statement esenziwa kuyena uKenny Raphato usenziwa kuyena ngaphambi kwayo-ke imantshi i-identikit la futhi asho khona-ke ukuthi-ke wayeyingxenye-ke yalokho okwenzeka-ke ila manje usuthola khona-ke ukuthi lo muntu kuyingakho-ke angitshela nge-date ngingayishongo mina.
Thank you, Brigadier. My Lord, just a bit of a deviation. There was a discussion earlier on with regard to the time at which you're supposed to be knocking off. I'm not so sure whether it was ultimately finalized, my Lord.
Now they say you'll discuss it at lunch. I mean at tea time, the defense.
Oh, no, thank you, my Lord. It's actually...
Is it tea time now?
No. It's, well, I'm not sure.
Not yet, no. It's 10 to 11.
Thank you.
10 to, okay.
Now, thank you, Brigadier. Now, Brigadier, the first discussion that you heard with accused number 2 in relation to this case at Western Area, before you could get into the offices to go and verify his alibi, And the second discussion that you had with him after coming out of the offices where you verified his alibi, could that be regarded as an interview with him?
I want to answer the way I was asked, my lord. It's one question by Advocate Minutes, but it's actually subdivided. So the first part...
No, it's just
no,
one
you did. I'll
question.
explain it. You'll understand, Advocate Minutes. First,
Okay.
you ask whether the alibi that was verified, and then you ask the interview. So it's two parts in one question. The alibi was not verified. It was false, my lord. He gave us a false alibi. We went in, we found it to be false. So that is the first part of the answer to his question.
Yes.
The second part, it was an interview, my lord. I was interviewing a suspect. Hence, I gave him his constitutional rights. I testified on this aspect during the trial, within trial, and when I led evidence in chief on this main trial, that I warned him according to his constitutional rights, because we're embarking on an official engagement, interaction, my lord.
Manje ke uma uyoqinisekisa ke lokho akusho kwenake umsolo wesibili ukuthi ke wayekuphike ngalelo langa lelo ingaba lokho ke wakuthatha nanjengenkolo khona phecelezi ke interview okwenzeka kokuqala ukuthi ke labo awayekusho ukuthi ngeke-26 wayekuphike kwatholakala ukuthi kwakungasilona ke iqiniso. Okwesibili ke yebo kwakuyiyona ke i-interview ngoba ke manje ngangisengikhulumisana naye noma ngixoxisana naye ke ngalo daba lolu oluphathelene ke neqala leli. Yebo ke kwakuyiyona inkolo khona noma i-interview.
Now, the first portion, I did not get your answer. Do you say it was an official engagement, an interview, or what? Because you only responded to the second instance where you are agreeing that it was an interview because it was an official engagement. What about the first instance before you could get into the offices to go verify his alibi?
No,
what do you call that?
No, it is official, my lord. Hence I said, and because the court will remember, when after I was introduced, then I introduced myself. The first part I dealt with was the warning that I gave him in terms of Section 35 of the Constitution. You do that when a person is a suspect. So your interaction in terms of what you put to that person and responses, it's an official engagement, my lord.
35.
Yeah.
Yebo ke uma ngiqala naye ke noma uma sikhuluma nje kokuqala ke bengikhulumile ke ngalokho ngaphambilini ke ukuthi ke ngamnikeza ke isexwayiso ke ngaphansi kwakhe ke umthetho usection 35 yilokho okwenzayo uma ukuthi umuntu uma ukhuluma naye ke umsoka ngako yebo ke kwakuyilona ke into lokho noma nayo ke i-interview leyo ngoba ke ngamexwayisa.
In fact, my lord, I'll take it to an extent that my entire engagement from the time I arrived up to the time I left, specific with accused 2, was official. There was no other business we had except the official engagement.
Thank you.
Futhi ngakusho ke lokho ukuthi ke kusukela ngesikhathi ngifika lapho ke ngiqala ukuthi ngikhulumisana naye ke umsolo wesibili ukuthi lokho ngangikwenza ke noma ke ngikwenza ngaphansi komuntu ke owayesemsebenzini noma phecelezi ke official kwakungekho kunye nje okwakusihlanganisa.
Now, Brigadier, as a very senior ranking officer in the South African Police Services, and not only senior but well decorated, I think that should be put on record as well, well decorated. You were very aware that that which you call an official engagement with the accused had to be done, accused number 2, had to be done in terms of the law, not so?
Yes, and it was done in terms of the law, my lord.
Thank you.
Futhi ke nanjengomuntu ke esiphoyiseni ke uNkantshubomvu Mvuke uzokwazi ke ukuthi ke yonke ke into uma uyenza ke noma lokho okwenza naye ke umsolwa ukuthi ke kufanele kwenziwe ngaphansi kwawo ke umthetho yebo kwenzeka futhi ngaleyo ndlela.
And you just mentioned that you explained to him his entitlements in terms of Section 35 of the Constitution. I don't want to get there because you have already testified about that in the trial, within the trial. So,
Yes, it is so, my lord. That's correct.
Bithulile ke ukufakaza ukuthi lokho ke wakwenzani ngokuthi ke umexwayiseke nanjengoba usho ukuthi namalungelo akhe ngaphansi kwakhe ke uSection 35 yebo kuyiqiniso.
now in the first engagement, before you could get into the offices to verify his alibi, if you so remember, what was his choice with regard to his rights to legal representation?
There wasn't, my lord. I explained. There was no desire for the legal representative, be it private or at the state expense, and there was no reasons or desire from him to remain silent. He said, "I would be willing to talk to you open and freely," and he did. Hence, he gave me the explanation of saying he was at work on the date in question, my lord.
Manje ke usumchazeleke ngawo ke amalungelo lawo akhe ke laselithini ke uma kufikelela kuleli ke mayelana ke nommeli kwakungekho sifiso nje esasikhona ke esasibuya kuyena noma ukuthi ummeli oyimele noma ke okhokhelwayo noma ke obuya kumbuso ingakho ke nje washo ukuthi uma ukhuluma ngokukhululekile ingakho angichazela ke ukuthi ke ngalelo langa lelo wayesemsebenzini.
Thank you. In respect of the second engagement, after having been to his employer to go and verify his alibi, what was, if you explained his rights, what was his rights with regard to legal representation?
There was still no view, my lord, and there was no desire or wish by the accused for the legal representative. And when we dealt with the issue of the identikit, and as I've placed it on record, he said it's not him. That was in relation to the response of saying he does not need a legal representative. He's still willing to speak open and freely. And when that question was put of the identikit, it was defeated by him to say it's a question of mistaken identity.
Senibuyileke manje kona ke amahhovisi senikhulumileke nalabo ke asebenza ngaphansi kwabo wasethini ke mayelana ke nommeli nalapho uqhubekekile ke wathi cha asikho ke isidingo noma ke nasifiso sokuthi ke ngaba khona ke ummeli esebuziwe futhi ke nangesithombe lesiyana ke noma ke i-identity kit ingakho nje angiphendula nje wathi cha iphutha ke lo kwakungasiyena ke loyana.
So would I understand you to mean, would I understand your answer then to mean that you had explained all his rights to legal representation, you gave him options and choices, he understood them, and he decided to waive his right to legal representation and said, no, I don't want a private attorney, I don't have an attorney on my own, I don't want an attorney or a legal representative that I can be assisted with by the state. I am prepared to continue speaking for myself or on behalf of myself as I am engaging with you. Do I understand you to mean that?
You understand me correctly, my
Thank
lord.
you.
He waived his rights, my lord.
Ngikuzwa kahle yini ke uthi ke usukhulumilene ke naye umchazele futhi ngawo onke amalungelo kakhulukazi ke lommeli noma ummeli oyimele ummeli obuya kumbuso nala uqhubekekile wathi cha ngifuna uyikhulumele yebo ungizwa kahle.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now you would agree with me, South Africa is a constitutional democracy country that is founded on the ethos of the Constitution. In other words, is the Constitution up there and there are these little legislations which should be tied up with the Constitution, not so?
Yes, I totally agree, my lord.
Uyavumelana nami ukuthi ke eNingizimu Afrika ifaka ke noma ke kunomthetho sisekelo bese kuthi ke kuneminye ke imithetho engaphansi ke kodwa ke ongaphezulu umthetho sisekelo lokho ngiyavumelana naso.
Below those legislations, there are directives, there are ordinances, there are policies, etc., 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 but which must also comply with the spirit of the Constitution, not so?
Yes, my lord, that is correct.
Kukhona konke ke lokho ama directives ama policy kodwa ke okungaphezulu okulawula konke ke lokho umthetho sisekelo lokho ngiyakuvuma yebo.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Brigadier. Do you understand, Brigadier, that a brigadier is a person who holds who is a commissioned officer and also holds the rank of being a peace officer?
I do understand, my lord.
Ingaba uyakuzwa noma uyakulandela ukuthi masikhuluma ngebrigadier sikhuluma ke ngomuntu ke okuyi obviously eliphakeme kakhulu ke khona ke ngaphakathi esiphoyiseni lokho ngiyakuvuma.
And then a peace officer is somebody that is equivalent to a magistrate. Are you aware of that?
No, No, my understanding, justice of the peace is equivalent to a magistrate.
Excuse
Justice
me?
of the peace. My understanding, I understand the peace officer different. I thought the magistrate, in terms of, is equivalent to a commission officer in the sense of being justice of the peace. That's my understanding, my lord.
Mina ke engikulandelayo ngokuthi ke uma kukhulunywa ke nge-peace officer umuntu ke osungambeka ke kwizinga ke layo ke imanje noma ke phecelezi ke okuthiwa i-justice of the peace.
No, I think my semantic nearly threw me under the bus. You know, I wanted to say justice of the peace, not a peace officer. You know, a peace officer can be a traffic cop. You know?
Indeed.
Then he stops there and then he asks us our licenses. You understand? Yeah, that's a peace officer. But the justice of the peace is at the more elevated level.
Yes, I do agree with that
Thank
assertion,
you.
my lord.
Lokho ke ngiyakuvuma ke uma usho ke ngoba ke kuyisikhundla ke sona ke ngasho ukuthi ke i-justice of the peace umuntu ke osungamlinganisa ke nayo imanje.
Thank you. Now I am going to request to refer to Exhibit XX.
What?
Exhibit XX. That's the thing, you know, for so many documents, and they get to be so voluminous, it just gets to be very tedious and heavy for us to carry them every day here to court. But Exhibit XX, Exhibit XX, my lord.
What is that?
Yes, XX is that document that states an interview with regard to a suspect. An interview regarding an interview with a suspect. Mr. Ramusipili is trying to correct me, but it's a statement regarding interview with a suspect. That is Exhibit XX. We might not necessarily go to Exhibit XX if there's a document that is similar to Exhibit XX, which is a statement regarding interview with a suspect. I think it will also suffice. I'm not so sure if my colleagues have got any, just to speed up the process. I would be utilizing mine, but I'm going to need it as we engage in this process.
I do have a similar document. I suppose it's a warning statement. That's what you're referring to. In the front page says statement regarding interview with suspect.
Yes.
Yes, I have one, my lord.
Or it is affectionately known as a warning statement.
Yes, if we are referring to the same document. Yes.
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 In front it has got that South African Police Service insignia.
Correct. That's the one. I think we have the
Yes.
same document.
And do you have any knowledge who designed this insignia?
I beg your pardon?
Do you have any knowledge who designed this insignia?
No.
You don't know?
I don't.
I do.
Is it?
I know who designed it.
Okay, I think we'll have a lecture with it one day. We'll talk
Thank
about
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm waiting for my colleagues, my lord, to be to follow as we go along in respect of this exhibit. I see Mr. Baloyi is still trying to page through. I'm not so sure whether we can proceed as is paging through or we need to give an indulgence to get this document.
So, what are we waiting for?
Oh, no, it's fine. I was just
My
trying
colleagues,
to...
I'm sure they know that document. Is that normal? You don't know that document?
I do have.
Mr. Ramsepi? Yes. So everybody knows that document?
Yes, it was sent up by Advocate Michelolo.
Yeah, it talks about in the presence of a police officer, station commander, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, in the role of the prosecutors.
That's it, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, Brigadier,
Yes, my lord.
we've got a face of the document. Yeah, unfortunately, the one that I have is not numbered. On the first page, it only starts to be numbered somewhere on page number 3. But nonetheless, I think that would not be a train smash. Now, when you open that document, the very first paragraph there says South African Police Service instructions, statement regarding interview with a suspect. Do you see that?
I do see it, my lord.
And then paragraph number 1, it says completion of this statement. Do you see that?
Completion of statement.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I see, my lord. Correct.
Yes. Now, what does paragraph A read? What does it say? Do you mind to read it into record?
No, I don't mind, my lord. It
Please.
reads as followed. The station commander must consult with the prosecutor on circumstances in which the prosecutor requires that a warning statement of a suspect be obtained. Second sentence, in every such case, the suspect must be interviewed and his statement must be completed. This statement must be completed every time the suspect is interviewed, irrespective of whether the suspect has been arrested or not.
Thank you.
Statement noma ke ufundeka ngale ndlela ke la istatement mayelana ke ne-interview kanye naye ke umsolwa i-station commander kufanele sihlangane noma sikhulumisane naye ke umshushisi ngakwizimo ke la khona umshushisi efisa noma ke efisa ukuthi ke kube warning statement phecelezi ke istatement sokuxwayiswa sakhe umsolwa ekufanele sitholakale ngaphansi noma ke ukona konke umsolwa uma ngabe kuwukuthi ke uya interview noma kukhulunyiswana naye fanele lesi statement lesi sibhalwe lesi statement lesi fanele sibhalwe ngaso sonke isikhathi kune interview nomsolwa noma kuwukuthi umsolwa uboshiwe noma cha.
Thank you. Now, when you page over, there's also an insignia there. Letters written South African Police Service. Again, a statement regarding interview with the suspect that are written in both letters. Do you see that?
I do see it, my lord.
Thank you. And below that, there is that paragraph that consists of 3 sentences. Do you mind to read that into record?
I don't mind, my lord. It reads as follows. The form must be completed every time a suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention after an arrest or not, where any space provided on the form is sufficient. Continue on a folio and attach the folio to that page. Folios must be signed by the suspect, interpreter, deponent, and commissioner of oath.
Kufundeka ngale ndlela ke le form lena kufanele ibhalweke noma igcwaliseke ngaso sonke isikhathi umsolwa ke ehlonywa imibuzo noma kuukuthi ke uvalele noma ke ugciniweke noma kusemuva kokuthi ke eboshiwe la khona ke unganeleke noma kuna space esaneleke kufanele kutholakale lokho kubizwa ngokuthi ke ifolio bese yona ke iya nanyathiselwa ke kulona le page leli kanye futhi ke lawo mafolio leyo kufanele assignedwe ke umsolwa utolika kanye futhi ke naloyo ekuyena obhalayo noma ke lowo ofundisayo.
Thank you, sir. Now, this statement must be completed every time the suspect is interviewed, irrespective of whether the suspect has been arrested or not. It's not me who says this, it is this document. Do you follow?
I follow, but
Thank you.
No, but I'm not done, my lord, in answering. I follow the first part. I follow, but you cannot ignore subsection A of point number 1, which says very specific, my lord. The station commander must consult with the prosecutor on circumstances in which the prosecutor requires that a warning statement of a suspect obtained. Now, a warning statement, my lord, can either be obtained when a person is arrested, or a directive can come from the prosecutor to say, before we make a decision, go and obtain the warning statement. So this directive is very clear. So you cannot ignore section A, which says there must be consultation It's a different view when police are conducting their own investigation, stopping a person, giving the person his right, and then things follows. There's no time to consult with the prosecutor, so this does not apply.
Ngiyakuzwa-ke ukuthi yebo lokho okufundayo ukuthi-ke le form ithi ngaso sonke isikhathi kunenhlolo khona-ke naye-ke umsolwa kufanele-ke le form igcwaliseke, kodwa-ke awukwazi-ke ukuthi ukushaya indiva-ke lokhu okubhaliwe-ke la ukuthi u-station commander kufanele akhulumisane noma consulte kanye naye-ke umshushisi kwizimo-ke la khona-ke umshushisi afisa ukuthi-ke kube ne-warning statement ethathwa kuyena-ke umsolwa, kodwa-ke lokho-ke akufani-ke na ukuthi uma amaphoyisa ezenzela olwabo uphenyo bahlangana nomuntu esitrateni base beyamisa-ke lapho khona-ke akuhlangani-ke lokho noma-ke akusiyona-ke into yodwa nale ebhalwe la.
So you're basically saying, let me put it this way, what you have just said now is an exception to what the law says.
No, that's not what I'm saying, my lord. I'm saying let's look at this form because I'm directed to what this form says in terms of the instructions. The form, the first paragraph, indicates clearly that there is a communication between the prosecutor and the police. Then the prosecutor gives instruction to the police to say, go and obtain a warning statement. The prosecutor, the only way the prosecutor can get a communication of what that person has said, indeed it must be documented in terms of a warning statement. It's a different story in my situation, my lord, when I was interacting with accused number 2. There was no directive from Advocate Baloyi or any of the advocates to say go and get a warning statement. So I'm saying this does not apply in circumstances like that, my lord.
Engikushoyo ukuthi-ke lana-ke kubhaliwe-ke kuyasho ukuthi uma kuwukuthi amaphoyisa-ke akhulumisana-ke nabashushisi-ke umshushisi uthi hambani niyothola i-warning statement kuloya msolwa loyana, kodwa lana-ke kuhlukile-ke uma mina ngangikhulumisana naye-ke umsolwa ukuthi kwakungekho izwi-ke noma-ke elalibuya kuyena-ke u-Advocate Baloyi ethi hambani noma hamba uyothola-ke i-warning statement kumsolwa noma-ke ku-accused number 2.
Sorry, for my understanding, not that I don't know what you're talking about. What is that document?
It's what we will term...
No. What is it? You told me about... Has it got a heading?
Yes.
What is the heading?
Statement regarding interview with suspects. It's a warning statement, my lord. That's the term we use.
Lana-ke khulunywa ngayo-ke noma ngasi statement sokwexwayiso noma-ke phecelezi-ke i-warning statement kubhaliwe-ke ukuthi istatement mayelana-ke nenhlolo khono kanye naye umsolwa.
Thank you. Now, may you please reread the second paragraph that I referred to you, that is on the following page.
The second paragraph, the one that starts by saying the form must be completed every time a suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention after an arrest or not. Where any space provided on the form is insufficient, continue on a folio and attach that folio to that page. Folios must be signed by the suspect, interpreter, deponent, and commissioner of courts.
Thank you.
Ifundeka ngale ndlela-ke ile sentence bifundiwe ngaphambili ukuthi-ke iform lena kufanele-ke igcwaliswe-ke noma-ke ibhalwe-ke ngaso sonke isikhathi umsolwa ebuzwa noma kuwukuthi-ke umsolwa lowo ugciniwe-ke esitokisini emuva kokuthi aboshiwe noma-ke uma kuwukuthi-ke isikhala-ke noma-ke ispace asanele kuyona-ke iform lena ufanele uqhubekeke kuloko okubizwa ngokuthi-ke ifolio bese iyancanyatheliswa-ke kulona leli page leli bese iyasayindwa-ke uyena umsolwa utolika kanye futhi-ke loyo oyibhalayo kanye-ke futhi naloyo ekuyena ofungisayo.
Thank you. This form must be completed every time a suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention after an arrest or not.
That is correct, my lord.
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct, my lord. But I need to explain. I need to qualify this. This portion that Advocate Mnisi is making me read, it's actually page number 3, starting from the beginning. The first paragraph, the written sentence or instruction, states clearly that there must be a directive between the prosecutor and the police. Then what is reading, it's a further instruction that goes down. In other words, my lord, you can't read this in isolation, because I seem to be getting an impression as if this is a standalone instruction that I was made to read now. It's not. First, there is a directive coming from the NPA to the police. We are then being told what you must do. So you can't ignore the part that in my situation, there was no directive by the prosecutor to say, go and obtain a warning statement. There was no such. It was simply a police investigation. And my lord, I can also say, this happens all the time. Police officers arrive at the scene of a robbery or murder, interviews people, give chase to suspects and arrest them. There's no form that they will sit down and say, let us write now what is being said. These forms, you'll normally find them at the detention cells when a person is being prepared for appearances in court, or in instances when it is clear that directive will be taken and the prosecutor says, go and obtain a warning statement before we make a decision so that we can hear what the person says. It's a different situation when it came to what I did with accused number 2, my lord.
Lana ke engikufundiswayo noma lokhu ke ekuthiwa angikufundeke kuyaqhubekeka ke page 3 uma uqala ke phezulu ke la ekushoyo ke khona ke eqaleni ukuthi kufanele kube nokukhulumisana phakathi kwamaphoyisa kanye futhi ke naye umshushisi, kodwa lana ke ayisikona ke lokho okwenzeka, futhi ke into eyenzeka njalo ke ukuthi amaphoyisa afike ke kwindawo zesigameko la khona ke mhlambe kubanjwe inkunzi, kunomuntu obulewe khona ke basukele futhi ke abasolwa ke asikho noma ke awekho ke amaphepha noma ke ama documents lapho ekufanele abhalwe khona ke lokho kutholakala ke ema police station. Uma kufika la khona ke abasolwa bagcina khona ke kwakungekho okwakuya kuyena ke uadvocate Baloyi lana ke okwakuthi mina ke angihambi ngiyothatha i-warning statement kuyena umsolwa. So the essence of what I'm saying, my lord, we cannot read this form in isolation of the instruction that is very clear, which is the first sentence, that instruction is coming from the NPA and the interaction is to the police to go and obtain a warning statement. And that is where it says, even if it's 2, 3, 10 times, 20 times, in those instances, you must have it recorded. Whether the person is arrested or he's not arrested, as long as there's that directive, then you must complete this form. In my situation, my lord, again, without repeating myself, there was no such directive. Lana ke aku noma ke kungenzeka lokho amahlandla awu20 amahlandla awu10 uma kuukuthi kubuya kuyena ke umshushisi kufanele lokho kwenzekeke, kodwa ke mina ke noma kolami ke uhlangothi kwakungekho lokho noma kwangekho lapho na ke umshushisi athe hamba uyothola lokho.
Thank you, Brigadier. Do you agree that this document was designed for the police, to be used by the police, and not for the National Prosecuting Authority of South Africa?
It was designed as a guideline, my lord. There is no, I think we dealt with this part during the trial within trial. There are many warning statement forms, my lord, and not necessarily like this. Others don't even have what is contained here. It's simply a guideline. But on this specific one, my lord, I'm dealing with it as it's been put to me, because the form itself, it's not me. I'm being directed to this form to comment on what it says. And I'm saying the first sentence of these forms clearly indicates that there must be a communication between the prosecution and the police. Then the steps then must be followed as per this form. So you can't ignore the part of the prosecution and the police because the form was not designed by the police. That's what the form says. That's what I'm being directed to comment on, my lord. Yebo ke iform lena ke aksiona yodwa ke maningi ke futhi ke amanye ke uzohlola ke indlela ekubhalwe ngayo ke, kodwa ke awukwazi ukuthi ke uzibeke noma ukuyishaya indiva ke le ndawo ebhaliwe ke ukuthi kufanele kube khona ke ukukhulumisana khona phakathi kwamaphoyisa kanye futhi nalabo abashushisayo.
Brigadier Gininda, you have just read the second paragraph, which is just an emphasis of what is supposed to be done when a police officer engages a suspect. And it says, this form must be completed every time the suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention after an arrest or not.
Yes, but my lord,
this is...
Sorry, Mr. Minister. I thought you were done. My apologies.
This is law. Unless you're creating your own little law in your own little corner there. But this is South African law, as it is contained in this form.
Yes, sir.
The state doesn't want to interfere with Advocate Nis's cross-examination, but the witnesses said ad nauseum that the operative part is that first sentence that says there must be a consultation between the station commissioner and the prosecutor. Whatever follows must be read subject to that operative part.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, Mr. Minister.
Excuse me, my lord.
No, we can continue.
Brigadier,
Yes, my lord.
would you agree with me? Now we are going to do a standard 3 analysis. Would you agree with me that there are cases where the intervention of a prosecutor would not be necessary? For instance, in a case where, actually, let me not get there. Would you agree with me that there are cases where the intervention of a prosecutor would not be necessary and the police must just investigate that case from beginning to the end on its own and table it before a prosecutor? Such cases do exist, not so?
So,
Yes.
during the investigation process, I suppose, is that what you mean? During the investigation process?
Yes.
Yes. But under
Thank you.
under the guidance of obviously the supervisor who will guide the relevant member, but the ultimate decision maker is the NPA, my lord. So that docket at one time or another will sit at the office of the NPA, and they may be of the view that look, we are not happy with what we have. Go and do 1, 2, 3 further, which has happened on this matter. We spoke about it, my lord. So the ultimate arbiter in these proceedings is actually the NPA. Whether you involve them at the beginning or you decide not to involve them, but at the end of the day, you will never get to court without sitting down with the NPA, my lord.
Uzovumelana-ke nami ukuthi-ke khona-ke izehlakalo-ke la khona-ke amaphoyisa edingeka nje ukuthi-ke azenzele wona-ke uphenyo engadingekile ukuthi-ke bathole izwi noma-ke umlomo obuya kwi-NPA noma-ke phecelezi-ke abashushisi. Yebo, lokho kungenzeka noma-ke kuyenzeka-ke amaphoyisa aphenye, kodwa egcineni-ke idokodo lelo lizothathwa lihambe-ke li-NPA noma kubona-ke abashushisi ibona-ke abazothatha isinqumo, ibona abazosho ukuthi cha asenemeke ilokhu enikwenzile noma umsebenzi eniwenzile, noma ungazenzela ningabafaki noma nibafaki kodwa egcineni lizogcina-ke ukubona.
That is what is called instructions that a prosecutor will give for further investigations, not so?
That is correct, my lord.
Ilokho-ke kuzobuya kubona-ke abasheshisi bathi-ke uqhubeka-ke nophenyo, yebo kuyiqiniso.
Thank you. That will be an instance where the police have started with the investigation, they've made the arrest, they've brought the accused before court. He has already appeared at court. The prosecutor enrolls the case at court. He goes through it and realizes that we still need to get this and this and this and this and this information as part of further investigation. Do you follow?
I follow, but it's not the only instances, my lord. Even if the matter is not enrolled.
I'm talking about that instance. I'm talking about that instance, not yours. I'm talking about that instance.
Yeah,
Let's concentrate on that instance, Mr. Kininda.
Okay, which instance then? Let me understand.
The
Because
one
I
that
thought
I've
the
just
question was
sketched out
broader.
now. The police receives a complaint. He goes out, investigates the complaint. He found that there are merits in the complaint which warrant the arrest of the perpetrator. He goes on and arrests the perpetrator. He brings him before court, and then he takes the docket to the prosecutor. The prosecutor enrolls the matter. The suspect appears at court. After appearance, the prosecutor postpones the case. After postponing the case, the prosecutor takes the docket into his office, sits down, and gives the investigating officer instructions. That is the situation that I'm talking about. Let's
Yes.
concentrate on that one.
Well, yes, in that example that you're giving me, yes,
Yes.
that's how the prosecutor will give instructions.
Yes.
Uma ukhuluma noma-ke unikeza leso sibonelo ukuthi-ke iphoyisa liyaphenya liyahamba liyobopha umsolwa-ke icala-ke liye enkantolo liyahlehliswa-ke bese umshushisi-ke manje uyahlala nedokodo uthi ke lowo ophenyayo akaqhubekeke ngophenyo yebo kwenzeka ke noma lokho kuyenzeka kuleso usibonile unginikeza sona.
Thank you. In that particular instance, don't you use this document, Exhibit XX,
No.
when you have an interview with the suspect?
My lord, so,
Yes.
and I want to move with the example that has been given.
I am asking a simple question. In that instance, don't you use a document which is called a statement regarding an interview with the suspect, this document? Don't you use it?
My lord, I can hear Mr. Mnisi very loud and clear without raising his voice. This just mind it, because
I'm
I'm
not raising
answering.
my voice. This is
Well,
how I speak.
it sounds like that to me, because I'm going to answer you.
Okay.
I was given a broad example of how this particular example started. From the time of the arrest to the time it's taken to the prosecution, a person appears and instructions then are given by the prosecutor. I cannot now be expected to answer only one portion. I want to answer it broadly. So, because I feel now I've been confined to only focus on one thing. I was given a broader picture, and I want to deal with that broader picture in terms of the answer, my lord.
Okay,
And
you
I'm
can
saying,
explain, Mr. Keninga, you can
I'm-
explain.
it's not an explanation, it's an answer, my lord. The question has
Answer.
been put to me.
Yes.
Now, my lord, in that example that I was given, when the person appears, before the person appears, a warning form statement would have been completed. You cannot appear before the warning statement is taken. So that will be the first step in preparation, in processing that person to appear before court. So that warning statement, I want to deal with it because the question relates to the warning statement. The first part would have been completed. Secondly, the person then the docket gets taken out to the prosecution. This is the example that I was given. The prosecution, based on the evidence and explanation given contained on the docket, the NPA will make a decision then to enroll the matter. In that instance, my lord, if there are outstanding investigation, as Advocate Mnisi is saying, then further instructions will be given to the IO to follow. I'm not sure whether the question is to say the further instruction is that further warning statement must be taken, because at that stage, a warning statement is already taken. You cannot appear before the warning statement is taken. So if the assertion is that after the person has appeared, there is further instructions to take a further warning statement, it's an unusual practice, me as a policeman, that I've heard. It's a different story when the person has not appeared. So that's how I can answer it, my lord.
Uma ngingaphendula ke lo mbuzo ukuthi ke manje ke umuntu esebingeleleke imanje umshushisi ke manje uthi ke kulowo ophenya icala akaqhubekeke nophenyo ukuthi manje ayisagcwaliswa ke yini noma le statement lesi. I-statement lesi njengoba kubizwa ukuthi i-warning statement, angeke umuntu ayobingelela imanje kanti i-warning statement ayikathathwa. Into ke leyo engajwayelekile uma kuwukuthi ke manje ushiwo kumina ngaleyo ndlela ukuthi umuntu eseyibingelele imanje sekufanele manje uyothathwa i-warning statement, ngoba lokho kwenzeka ekuqaleni ngaphambi kokuthi umuntu ayovela enkantolo.
Thank you, Brigadier. I know you heard me well. I think it's just that this question is rattling you. You are saying, even before the person would go to greet the magistrate, a warning statement would have been taken from him, not so?
I'm saying according to the example given to me by Advocate Mnisi, in that example that he gave me, because he said I must focus on that example. That's the instruction I got from him. He said, don't go anywhere, focus on what I'm telling you. The example he gave me, my lord, the person gets arrested. After the arrest, he is then processed and taken to court, and the matter is enrolled. I'm saying in that particular example, there must be a warning statement taken before the appearance. I'm referring to the specific example that was given to me, my lord.
Mina ke ngikhuluma ngesibonelo lesi esinikezwe kumina ke ukuthi ngaphambili kokuthi ke umuntu ayovela ke enkantolo noma ke ayobingelela ke imanje, i-warning statement ithathwa ngaphambilini kokuthi kwenzeke ke lokho.
Thank you. That warning statement, that must be taken before he goes and greets the magistrate. Are you not using this document?
No, my lord. As I've said, there are no prescribed forms in the warning statement. I've dealt with this, my lord. There is no one specific forms in the police that says it's a warning statement. There are different ones. The important thing is for practicality, my lord, it could also be this one or a different one. The fact of the matter is that there will be a warning statement completed before a person appears, whether it's this one or a different one, but not necessarily that it will be this specific one, because it depends as to whether that station or that detective has possession of this specific one, because others they've got a different one, my lord. The essence of it, there will be a warning statement completed prior to the appearances.
Akukho ke emaphoyiseni ke ukuthi ke kufanele kubeke iform thizeni ekuyiyona ke ebhalayo noma ke egcwaliswayo. Ungathola ukuthi esinye isiteshi asinayo lena mina ke enginayo noma leyo detective unenye ke iform, kodwa ke kusemqokazi ukuthi nje kufanele ukuthi ke i-warning statement ibe khona ke ngaphambilini ukuthi umuntu ke ayovela ke kuyona inkantolo. Akunamthetho othi kufanele kube iform ethize.
Thank you, Brigadier. I've just been alerted that it's time for a short adjournment. But before we adjourn, I can promise you that you are going to explore this fact further. If it will be necessary, I'm going to request that this court, in terms of Section 186 of the Criminal Procedure Act, I'm going to request this court to call for us General Fanny Masemola to come and explain what you've just told us. Alternatively, the national spokesperson of the South African Police Services, Athlenda Martin. Alternatively, any person from the legal services of the South African Police Services.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Before you call General Masemola,
I said I'm going to request the court, my lord.
In this case, was there a warning statement taken of all the accused before this court?
Yes, my lord, accused 1 up to 5.
Even accused number 2?
Even accused number 2.
Okay.
There was a warning statement taken.
Is it similar to that?
Yes, it's similar to this, my lord. It was taken at the
Okay, tea time.